Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Comfort Keepers in Home Care and Advanced Audiology. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Jean Doria,
on your hometown station, KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And speaking of quality of life, none other than the inimitable Dr. Thomas Polucki is joining us.
Welcome, Tom. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks. It's good to be back.
Any thoughts of what we'd like to expound to our seniors today in terms of educating them and giving them hints about a better quality of life?
Yeah. Well,
Well,
that's what we're here for, right?
Succinct word.
I would hope so. I'd like to keep it relevant. I think mostly your audience wants to live relatively pain-free, as active as possible, being there for their family and whatever friends they have left. And I don't know how many of them feel this way, but certainly the people that I want to talk to would like to do that without having to take handfuls of pills every day. And that's the kind of doctor that I am. A lot of people have misconceptions about what goes on in my office until they show up. Right, Barb?
Absolutely right. Absolutely. And I much more appreciate your type of doctorism. Is that what it is? Chiropractic.
Yeah, sure.
Doctorism.
Doctorism.
I don't like to be lying
That's a
down.
Barbism.
That's a what-ism?
A Barbism.
I don't like to be twisted and turned.
Yeah.
That is one of the most uncomfortable things that you can do because you feel like you're at the chiropractor's beck and call. If he or she missteps, then you're on the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
That was one of my biggest fears.
I know Gene has a different experience than that. He has had a very positive experience with that type of chiropractic, and some people do. That's fine. I don't do that, and there's a reason that I don't do that, and it's real simple. So there's over 100 joints in the spine, and every one of them are the most concentrated sensors in the entire body to feed back into the brain to let it know what is going on in the body. Your whole body is full of these sensors. It has to be just, stick a pin somewhere and see if it's not loaded with sensors, right?
Oh, yes.
Giving you symptoms.
Yeah, symptoms.
Telling what the body's doing.
What the body's doing. And they all travel along a pathway to the thinking part. Now, gets a little crazy here, but the thinking part of the brain is that squiggly part that everybody knows when they see a picture of the brain. That's the processing power of the brain. That's called the cortex, and that's where all the problem solving happens, regardless of whether it's conscious thought, which only takes up about 3% of that area. 97% of that surface area is dedicated to making sure everything's going right in your body. So when that message comes up from those sensors in the body and is able to get directly to that cortex, that's the best case scenario, because whatever problem is going on, regardless of whether you believe in creation or evolution or some combination of the two, the problem is dealt with most efficiently, better than any medical doctor. It doesn't matter how great a person it is. It doesn't matter what kind of training. It doesn't matter what facility they work in. When the body can heal itself, that is the best case scenario.
And the body does well when you do soothe the mind and you have a professional like yourself who listens to their patients.
So that's the ideal situation. And when that message can get there, most problems take care. We call it spontaneous remission in science because we're not intervening. We're not treating the patient, but the patient got better all by themselves from a condition that may be anywhere from so-called self-resolving to an incurable, a terminal, a deadly disease. But when the doctor doesn't fix the patient, the patient fixes themselves without any treatment, it's called spontaneous remission or a miracle. But that is really the way we're designed to work. And here's where that all gets messed up. So there's another option. Once it makes that last connection inside the center of the brain, it's got one of two choices to go, that information. And by the way, this is not my opinion. This is scientifically valid. It's research. It's been done in 2011 and 2017, repeated, so there's some validity to this. They can track this with a PET scan. You've got one of two choices. One is that information coming up from the body drops into the pituitary instead of going up into the cortex. And when that happens, you have an emergency response, which is perfectly normal and perfectly healthy. It supercharges the body temporarily. However, just like being on red alert or having alarms go off all the time, it's not a good place to stay. So unfortunately, when you see that stress physiology prolonged for any period of time, it has its own serious health consequences, which manifest in everything that we see, whether it be a compromised immune system leading to cancer, or a degenerative process leading to some kind of neurological or arthritic or some kind of breakdown of some kind of organ in the body, like your heart or your liver or your kidneys or your digestive tract, because you're constantly at a low level of stress, even if your life is good, because the stress is coming from the inside. And what we found using these advanced imaging studies is how can we shift that stress physiology into the healing physiology? How can we change the pathway from dropping into that stress response, primarily driven by stress chemicals, to a healing response primarily driven by the natural healing solution that the cortex comes up with and does whatever it has to do in the body, including using chemicals throughout the body. How do you do that?
As opposed to taking chemicals.
As opposed to taking
that's what I was
chemicals.
gonna
Because
ask.
that, while is the main option done in medicine today, it is complicated, and it can easily go wrong. So the best bet is allowing the body to do it naturally by itself.
How do you do that?
Well, we found a few things. Okay. So in looking at these stress responses, in looking at where is the metabolism happening in the brain, because that's what this advanced imaging study looks at. Is it going into the pituitary or is it going up into the cortex? They tried everything. They tried guided meditation. They tried acupuncture. They tried music. They tried a series of rehabilitative exercises. They tried massage. They tried all different kinds of modalities to try to change a person's stress physiology, even whether they didn't have any symptoms or not. These weren't chronically ill people. These were just average people who didn't really have any health complaints at all. They were just looking at, where is that message going to? Is it going to the stress alarm reaction, or is it going to the healing response in the cortex? What can we do to change that pathway? And the one thing that I'm most interested in that had a reproducible result, which in science means it works, is the kind of treatment that you, Barbara, get in my office. When we tap on those joints, especially those spinal joints, instead of twisting or cracking them, when we just tap gently on them to reduce some of the pressure in the joint sensor itself without having to crank on any structure. Because no joint, think about it, you twist your ankle. It's not a good situation. Somebody twists your arm. It's not a good situation. No joint likes being twisted. But when you take pressure off of a joint that isn't quite working right, you can have a really good response in the brain that allows that healing process to happen naturally.
Do they know, though, how from the tapping it goes up, the mechanism that it follows to go up into
Absolutely.
the cortex?
Spinal thalamic tract.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So it goes up that track, but the PET scans are showing that it's going to cortex as opposed to the pituitary.
Right. So these are big words, but Dr. Dorio asked a very specific question. So that last junction, because every cell in your body is only 3 connections away from the cortex. In that last one, in the thalamus, it's got a choice to make. In that thalamus, you can either go up to the squiggly part that everybody knows is what we think with, or drop into that little tiny globe of tissue behind your eyes that creates most of the hormone responses in your body.
Known as the pituitary.
Yeah. So you got 2 choices. And one, again, when you drop into that pituitary reaction, great for emergencies, but horrible long term. When you are able to shift that last switch up into the cortex, much easier for healing, whatever natural healing is going to take place in the body to occur, because then it has the full processing power of the thinking part of the brain in order to fix the problem.
So, Barb, you've experienced this technique at Dr. Polucki's office. So how effective do you think it is?
I think it's very effective. And in fact, when I go to see him after the show, he's going to need to do it around all my entire neck, down my back, and everything else. Stress is terrible.
Stress is terrible.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's devastating.
But when it's not like you have a sledgehammer in your office.
Oh, no.
You have a little hammer, and if I had a hammer, what kind of hammer? And in the evening.
All over this land?
Yes, but you wouldn't have the same force. What's the word I'm looking for?
Force is a good
impact?
word.
Impact.
Concussion?
No. The same force where it hits you like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. It doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So it
doesn't hard, soft, medium.
Yeah, it's some gentle
constant.
tapping on the joint, literally.
What do you use to tap, though? Your finger?
You can.
Yeah,
I'm
use a
not good
gun.
enough to. I'm not good enough to do it with my finger. There are some people who have practiced for their entire lives who can do this technique with their finger alone.
Whoa.
But that I use a device. It's a mechanical device, and it's measured. Force is measured in newtons when you really get scientific about it. Most people know force as like horsepower or something like that. This is nowhere near anything like that. This is just I don't really know the definition of a newton, but it's a very small force, a very, very small force.
It's not a fig.
Yeah. It's enough to eat a fig newton. That is the definition.
We have to have some levity here as
Right.
we talk about this complicated.
But you better be careful today because my head might just fall off.
Yeah, that would not be good.
You mean what we just picked up and put back on there, Barb?
So
No,
you
from
just
stress.
The amount of force is measured in newtons, and it's comparable to the amount of force you could stand on pressing on your closed eye. It's not a lot of force.
No.
Not a lot of
But
force
it's
at all.
consistent.
Yeah,
That's-
and it is
and it's at the same
the device
space,
allows
right.
me to tap quickly so that you override some of the resistive forces of an injured joint. So
I'm glad I'm not the only one that's having problems with words today.
Yeah. Well, I've
So
got to
the-
talk in terms that most people will
I'll understand.
appreciate.
Yeah.
So
understand.
it's not that somebody has problems with their back at, let's say, the T12 or thoracic 12 level or some specific spot on the back. It's overall a way of affecting the tract that goes up to the cortex that brings overall relief to the body. It affects being in the cortex now. You've gone from a very isolated spot, an area of the body, to a general spot of the body. That's what we're saying.
Well, yes. If we can get the information from whatever isn't working right in the body to make that last step to go to the problem solver of the body, then more than likely the problem gets solved. Now, I can't claim to treat anything. That's the field of conventional medicine. I'm real careful not to do that. However, we have people who conventional medicine hasn't helped get better in our office on a regular basis.
And the other side of that is avoiding medication that could
have
the secondary side effects that are detrimental to especially our seniors who might end up falling or losing their appetite or getting dizzy or things like that.
And this is one of the main things I treat in my office is balance and coordination. Even more so now because I've been focusing on this type of work for long enough that people are coming for things like vertigo and not for low back pain so much.
Well, I think we need to take a break.
Okay.
And then when we come back, I'd like to talk a little bit more about this medication that you have in your office.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. The Senior Hour. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS. And we're speaking with Dr. Thomas Polucki, a local chiropractor, but a different kind of chiropractor.
Yeah, among other things.
Yeah.
And we were talking about treatment, a little bit of different treatment, and speaking of the physiology behind it. And, I was talking about a mallet, and I don't want somebody to call your office and say, what's that mallet therapy that you're talking about, Dr. Dorio? But what is, we were trying to clarify what this might be called.
The most common usage in the chiropractic profession is a device called an activator, but that is not what this is, and that is not what this is doing, and that word means nothing to anybody who has not been to that kind of a chiropractor anyway. So it's best just to describe it. It's a small stylus, and if you're not familiar what a stylus is, you use it now to write on an iPad or a device instead of using your finger to sign on sign here. Most people would be familiar with it at the checkout counter when they have to sign that touch screen in order to pay for their bill. So that's a stylus, and it's not nearly as pointy as that. And this stylus is driven by a small spring device that will gently move back and forth. And when you press that into an injured joint, it doesn't really hurt that bad. And when you pull the trigger, it gently taps on that joint to actually reduce the pressure in that joint, which we, again, can measure this, stimulates circulation, stimulates blood flow, relaxes the spasm in the affected tissues of the joint. And that in itself can be very, very beneficial. But that alone is just a local phenomena. That doesn't get up to the cortex. So depending on which joint is affected, you're going to have more or less influence on the total healing process. And to give people a more concrete explanation of this, I've been treating someone with frozen shoulder. And for people who don't know what that is, that means that you can't lift your shoulder away from your body at all. It's stuck there. So we've been usually I can unlock someone's shoulder in a few visits. This one's taking a lot longer than normal. So we were treating all the components of the shoulder, all around the shoulder joint, all of the connective tissue, the muscles, everything related to it, even down the arm. But only when we work above the shoulder, when we work in the joints of the neck, is she able to raise her arm over her head. That's the only time. Everything else we do, it doesn't allow her. She gets stuck right at shoulder height. But when we treat the joints in her neck, she can go straight up.
Pretty cool.
It's very cool, and it's kind of amazing because most physical medicine would just be stuck in the shoulder and say, oh, well, it's a rotator cuff tear. Obviously, you can't lift above the shoulder. We're going to have to go in and do a repair.
Operate. Yeah. I have done and assisted with frozen shoulder operations. And I am a firm believer that that operation is unnecessary. That at some point down the line with the appropriate therapy, we can unlock those shoulders in the right way.
I'm doing it now.
Yeah, so here we are.
Right.
And, people have to take a different look at what the technology is and the acceptability of putting people through a surgical procedure that if it fails, you're really in trouble at that point. But to work with something and then continue to work with it, since you have a propensity to have frozen shoulder, it says you'll just have to work with it the rest of your life once the frozen shoulder is unhinged and working again.
Well, that's not my experience. When I am able to get rid of it, it typically doesn't come back.
Oh,
so
I'm talking about when you do surgery.
The
scar tissue
that's
then nails it down
Yeah.
even.
Worse.
You have a little bit of, and you do the physical therapy, and sometimes it's fine, but many a times it comes back. And it comes back because I think the attitude was, hey, I got this frozen shoulder, I'm going to take the easy way out and have surgery, and then they forget what they need to do to continue the therapy once it's completed, and then it freezes again.
Yeah.
Got to thaw it out.
Yeah. Got to keep it moving.
But when you say that working above the shoulder is what's essentially
For this patient.
For this patient. But
I've had other patients that I didn't have to do that with.
Even though you are working down the shoulder, it still helps.
Oh, yeah.
In that initial healing process,
Yeah.
even though you have to go up.
Shoulder problems are very, very difficult to deal with for the person who's experiencing them, especially if it's their dominant hand. It can be disabling, completely disabling. Like they cannot function. They cannot do their job. They cannot take care of their family. If you're right-handed and your right shoulder isn't working, you're in real trouble.
Yep. So we're going to get off topic, but I think this is something important that, for our seniors who are listening, who know of people who have experienced it and maybe themselves, what is it that you know of that you can do to help prevent it? Frozen shoulder.
Keep moving. Number one, a shoulder can, to the best of my knowledge, a shoulder cannot freeze up unless it's immobilized, unless it's not moving.
Absolutely.
So you have to keep it moving. So preventatively, we have a free class in our office called Move Over Medicine. We've talked about it on previous shows, where I give the exact exercises to do for a shoulder to maintain a great shoulder. And the reason I came up with this was exactly that. Like shoulders are a main problem. I have exercises for the shoulder, for the hip, for the low back, for the neck, for the knee. Because this is what I deal with. This is what I constantly deal with all of my patients, and they've never seen these rehabilitation exercises. These are people who have been through the shots, been through the physical therapy, been through the surgeries, and then started the whole process over, and they come to me as a last-ditch effort, and all of a sudden I'm showing them exercises that they've never seen before? That's a little disturbing.
Very.
Well, can we kind of change
Yeah.
the course a bit? We talked before the break about medication.
Uh-huh.
And I just wanted to give my input as to the helpfulness of the medication that I've received from your office.
Okay, so I have to clarify. Supplements
Yes,
in my
that's
office.
what I mean.
Supplements in my office.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
But those supplements have helped me tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
And I have quite a few of them. And especially the one that helps me sleep.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
I have not had anybody who had a sleeping problem take this product and not have remarkable results.
It's been incredible for
Yeah.
me.
So a lot of
Absolutely
people will try
incredible.
things like magnesium or try things like melatonin.
Or
and some,
sleeping pills
or
that you buy
well,
in the market.
I'm not going to talk about that. I'm
But
just going
a
to
lot
talk
of people
about
do, though.
supplements
Yep, they do.
in my realm. The supplements that I hear people, I tried, and I had to take medication because the supplements weren't doing anything. And then I said, well, you haven't tried this. So this, as far as I'm concerned, doesn't have any of the quite significant side effects that sleeping medication does have. And as far as I can tell, anybody who takes it gets the sleep that they're looking for, and that's all that matters.
That's the truth. And I need to buy some more. But it's incredible. And I also take several other supplements that I've purchased from you. I can't think of the name of them right
That's
now.
okay.
But you know what they are. The little red and white ones, maroon and white. What are they called?
I'm not sure.
The little maroon and white oval.
What do they do for you?
It's a supplement. I think it takes the place of calcium and potassium and a whole bunch of things.
But do you feel better for it?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think I take 5 or 6 that I've purchased.
And you haven't
From
had
Dr. Tom.
frozen shoulder or anything like that?
No. But have you got a good one for stress?
Yes, we actually have a great one for stress. So you've heard of the healing waters, right? I mean, it's Palm Springs. It's in our backyard.
Yes.
Been a health resort for over 100 years, maybe longer. The only reason that, because that's how old our history is there, but the Indians set up shop there because they found, and who knows how long they were there for. The Native Americans have known about this.
You actually get in the water.
Yeah.
It's
So
incredible.
There's Palm Springs, there's Lourdes, France, there's the Dead Sea. There's all these
They're all
places
over the
around the planet where people go from around that area to go to be healed, so to speak. One thing they all have in common, and that's lithium. Now, this is not the psychiatric medication from the 50s that just makes everybody very scared about. This is a natural occurring salt that just really makes you feel good. It has, in the levels that we use it in our supplement, it has no side effects. Like anything, it could potentially be abused by someone with that tendency, but there's no side effects. There's no toxicity at the levels that we recommend. Not bad. Just totally in a high stress, chronic situation, chills everything right out.
So, but you take that orally. You don't
Yeah.
put it in a
No,
bathtub and get it like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
do at the spas and and get it absorbed through their skin or anything
you don't
like
need
that.
to. You don't need to. I don't know the exact dosage that's in a pill, but that's all it takes. You don't have to fill a bathtub with this stuff.
So this lithium doesn't have major side effects like lithium becoming a lithium battery or anything like that.
Right?
You don't get all charged up.
You will be the Energizer Bunny.
That's good.
But it doesn't affect your sleep. It does not affect your ability to operate machinery. It does not. It's pretty nice to be able to literally take a chill pill once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those two that I've been taking in the past week, the ones that help you sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, I literally die when I go to bed.
That's why she was late today. We were both
That's
late.
true. That's very true.
I didn't take the pill, but Mark did.
I did. Yes, I did, and I didn't wake up in time to get everything done to get here because I was should have gone over to the hospital first, but I called the caregiver over there and said, "No, I can't make it. Please tell Russ I'll see him after lunch." But that's what happened to me. I've been taking them for the past week, helping me sleep.
That's awesome.
And they've been incredible, absolutely incredible.
Sometimes you do need a little help to sleep. I have a young dog, and he does often wake us up in the middle of the night. So whenever I have to use the sleep support, I'm able to function fully. I mean, you want to be asleep, but you're not drugged. You're not like incapacitated by this. You just feel like, oh, do I really have to get up? You know, you're just relaxed and just don't want to get up. It's not a matter of like being dangerous, like being intoxicated. It's just a matter of I'm really relaxed. I really don't want to get up right now.
I have a kitty cat.
Yeah,
who
does the same thing.
Oh my
yeah.
goodness! Right on time, every single morning. It's about 20 minutes to 6. She comes up and she walks around my head, meow 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 meow. And if I don't respond or open my eye, she gets the paw and she starts pawing my face.
Right.
Meow 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 meow.
Yeah, she'll get you up.
Oh my goodness! And I finally have to say to her, "No," and she'll go back down and sleep at my feet. But a little while later, here she comes again. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. Animals they're lifesavers initially, but sometimes you want to strangle them. And when I'm trying to go back to sleep, and she's, no, you're not supposed to sleep. You're supposed to get up. I need some food. You know.
Having children again.
That's true. That I wouldn't part with her for the world. And she's 16 years old.
Wow.
She's the one who she lost her sister about 3 months ago.
Oh no.
Yes, that was Russ's kitty, and he still hasn't gotten over that.
Oh.
Because she would sleep with him in his chair at night, because he couldn't sleep on the bed, couldn't lie flat because of his neck and back. So he would sleep in his recliner, and as soon as I'd leave the room, up she'd jump. Let's go sleep, Dad. She belonged to him. Wow. The only thing I would do would feed her. And then she wouldn't eat until I left the kitchen. Oh. Funny. Yeah, she didn't care for me at all, but Russ, she adored. And the other one, Ginger, came to me all the time, still does. Sometimes I want to wring her neck, but but I couldn't do without her, especially this last week. Oh my goodness. And if I'm out of her sight when I'm at home, she comes chasing after me. Wow, wow. No, I want you, Mommy. You haven't been home enough. But animals, that's another stress reliever, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
The natural supplement.
Absolutely. They are tremendous. Just petting them, running your hand over their fur. It's just like looking at fish in a fish tank.
Right.
And watching fish, that's one of the most relaxing things you can have. That and an animal who wants to be petted and loved. It's really it's they're amazing, amazing creatures. Dogs, I used to have dogs. The same thing. Used to have a dog named Spirit. And boy, was she a spirit. I mean, she jumped around all over the place. She was a go-getter. But when she wanted love and when she sensed, animals sense when you're under stress. They really do. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And that's the way Ginger has been with me. Oh, my goodness. I don't know what I'd do without her. But one of these days I'm going to have to get used to that because she's not going to live forever, unfortunately. But right now she's still in good health. And we didn't take another break. So I saw those evil eyes over there. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host, Dr. Jean Dorio, on your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back to the Senior Hour. I'm Dr. Jean Dorio on your hometown station, KHTS. We're here with Barbara Cochran and Dr. Thomas Polucki talking about mallet treatment. And, you know, we want to kind of...
What kind of treatment?
Mallet, since we didn't get a real name for this. So, but you know, our listeners, if they've been started from the beginning of the show, would understand that, you know, we're this show has been about our seniors having quality of life, but yet not attaining it by being drugged up.
Right.
And in our society today, you know, you watch television and it's constant bombardment of the listeners and watchers of any show that drugs are going to make your life better. And of course, they always have underneath that it's going to cause headaches, dizziness, lightheadedness.
Well, those are
nausea,
only in the
vomiting, blah, blah, blah.
commercials.
In the
Like,
commercials.
they have to make those disclaimers
Sure.
in the
But
commercials.
I'm just saying they're
they don't have
indoctrinated
to
with
do
it.
it when it's a product placement in the show itself. So the new thing is they talk about whatever the agenda is in the actual show, and then they don't have to make any of those disclaimers.
Yeah, I was talking about commercials and things when you're just watching the news and things are, oh, it's horrible this, horrible that. And, you know, then they have this mellow scene where everybody's, you know, living the great life and things are good because this drug is going to help you. And then they try to sell it to you that way.
Right.
And then, but they do have to put that little disclaimer, I guess. And used to put it on the bottom, I think, in words, but you couldn't read it.
Right.
Right. But so now they have to say it. But they're still playing this calming music
Right.
to make you feel that, hey, this might work for me because the calming music is putting me to sleep.
Right. It's crazy.
It's crazy, but that's kind of the way it is. But, you know, we're always looking for techniques and ways of being able to take care of ourselves and assure that, one, it's not going to cost us too much money, but the second thing is that you're going to get some sense of reliance that, you know, this can work. And I'm a firm believer that the attack mode has been on by the pharmaceutical companies to go after the public and, you know, sell them medications that are going to change their life, whereas those things that could have really helped them without using medication have gone by the wayside.
Yeah.
And I think we have to bring forward some of those efforts that are out there and some of these new techniques like mallet therapy that to help that might help our seniors in a better way and improve their mobility and improve their pain and give them that quality of life that we're looking for.
And chiropractic will definitely do it. Dr. Polucki's form of chiropractic.
Well, I'm actually classifying this as a form of massage because as soon as you say the word chiropractic, a lot of people are not interested in anything that you say after that point. But massage doesn't have the same problem, and this technically qualifies for a form of massage, and so we're calling it NeuroPoint massage.
NeuroPoint massage.
Yeah, N-E-U-R-O, NeuroPoint massage. Cool.
NeuroPoint massage.
Writing that down.
Yeah.
Did you catch
However,
that? Don't write
already.
pituitary or
No,
thalamus or cortex or any of that down because that
Medicare,
just ends up
if it's standard Medicare, not an HMO Medicare, but regular Medicare will cover care in my office. Won't cover supplements, but they're reasonably priced, and if they can help you, that's all that really matters.
And I will bet you it's a lot cheaper than what's out there right now, because
Yeah.
some of the reading the other day, there's a drug that one dose is $850,000. There goes your nest egg. There goes the
What?
$850,000 for one dose of a medication. One
crazy.
dose.
I
That's-
don't believe that it would cost whoever made it that much money to make, or even close to it.
And they talked to the person whose company developed this, and the person said, we've looked at the benefit to this, we looked at other drugs, we looked at the need of this, and this is how we decided on $850,000. It wasn't based upon the research and development, the time they put in, what the cost to prepare the medication, none of that. It was just what the market would hold for them to be able to charge that much. It's amazing. So whether it be mallet therapy or supplements or whatever it is, I think we really have to look at that, don't we? So if people want to get a hold of you, if they're interested in the thoughts and what we're trying to say here today, how did they do that?
The best way is to come in for a complimentary consultation. You can contact the office at 753-9340 and give us a call and see what we can do for you. Then that's the most important thing. If we can get Medicare to cover it, even better. And we'll talk about your options, both as far as giving you more free movement, more mobility, clearer thinking, less stress in your life. It's worth a call. 753-9340.
753-9340. I guarantee you'll meet someone with a great attitude and also who is a super listener. Think about that and as you make your way through life. We are sponsored by Comfort Keepers In-Home Care and Advanced Audiology. Listen to us next week on the Senior Hour. Now go and enhance your quality of life.